Welcome to Camaraderie, a channel where I try to figure out old cameras and just generally explore the analog photography process. Today, I'll be taking a look at ISO and how it works. Now, you might be thinking, Luke, everyone who has a photography-based YouTube channel has done a video explaining what ISO is. Why are you doing this? Well, my dear viewer, it almost is basically a rite of passage at this point, so here we are. Now, the real reason is I want to take a little bit of a deeper look than your standard ISO video. Now, if you're on this channel, you might have, chances are you have a pretty good understanding of what ISO is and why it's important. You probably know that ISO refers to the light sensitivity of your medium, whether it's the film stock that you're using or the digital sensor. For the rest of the video, I'll be talking about ISO specifically as it pertains to film, because that's what I do. You might even know that understanding ISO is an essential part of getting a proper exposure. It is part of the exposure triangle, after all, along with shutter speed and aperture. Basically, the higher the number, the more sensitive to light your film is going to be. But there's a trade-off. The more sensitive to light your film is, the grainier your film is going to turn out. The lower the number, the smoother your image will appear, but you will need more light to get a proper exposure. But I am the kind of person that likes to ask why, as my parents and teachers and any person in a position of authority over me can attest to. Just being told that something works is not enough for me. I want to know how it works, why it works, what it is that makes it do the thing. So what exactly does it mean when film is more sensitive to light? Why does the higher number mean that you have more light sensitivity? The answer lies in silver. There are these silver compounds in the film called silver halides. Halides? Halides? Halides. We'll go with that one. Basically, through a whole bunch of science that I won't get into right now, these little crystals of silver in the emulsion on the film have what are called sensitivity specs. The lower the ISO number, the smaller these crystals and their specs are. The higher the number, the bigger these crystals are, and the more sensitive to light they are. And you might hear some people talk about grain structure of film. And this is where that comes from. It's the actual physical structure of how these crystals are laid out. It's not necessarily the amount of silver that's in the film, which is what I thought for a while, but it's the size.
So to demonstrate how this works, let's take a look at some shiny things. So we're pretending that these smaller little bits of glitter are going to be something like a 50 ISO film, and these bigger sequins are going to be something like, say, an 800 or a 1600 speed film. What you can kind of see is that as you shine light on the bigger crystals, you get a bigger, in this case, reflection. That just kind of goes to show that the bigger the crystal of silver is, the more light sensitive it is, and it kind of makes sense, you know? And then, you know, with the smaller ones, they have obviously a smaller surface area, so they don't shine quite as bright. I mean, obviously there's a bunch more right there, so if we just put in some more of this, you can kind of see the difference that the size in the crystals makes. If you just look at the reflection that's bouncing off of the smaller crystals, it's not nearly as big as the bigger crystals. And in a really simplistic way, this is just to show the structural difference between a lower ISO film and a higher ISO film.
This isn't a perfect analogy, but I just wanted to, hopefully it gives you an idea of how ISO actually works. We're not talking about like what ISO is good for what conditions, just literally why higher ISO is more sensitive to light. So it's not a perfect example, but yeah, hopefully it gives you an idea. All right, cool. Well, I am gonna try and rid my office of glitter, which might prove to be an impossible task, but you know, whatever. It's all good. All in the name of science and education and YouTube. Speaking of YouTube, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I will see you next time on the other side of whatever screen you're watching this on.